Avi, you're very welcome. We're so pleased you're here after, I think you said your first Phocuswright was 14 years ago, but you weren't on stage.
Yeah.
So this is brilliant.
Thanks.
Few words, if you would, just to start on the current market conditions. Hotel companies rating their hikes, business travel seems to be back, and obviously great airline profits as well. So what are you seeing, and any particular segments recovering?
Yeah, I mean, it's super interesting. Few years that we've had after the pandemic. I remember in 2021, right before Omicron, remember that? Fun speed bump. I remember the numbers going basically to almost pre-COVID, going back to almost zero around Christmas of end of 2021. Now it feels like things are stabilizing in whatever the new normal is.
Yeah.
We've been talking about the new normal, how it would look like, and I would say that today is already normal. I would say that today things are stable, especially in the geographies where we mostly operate, which is Western Europe and North America, and things are back to normal. Companies are traveling. We see a lot, especially in the knowledge work industries, which is actually a small part of our total business. Roughly 25% is knowledge work. Everything else that we do is traveling for work. So, for example, engineering company is going to dig tunnels. We have a lot of these.
Okay.
But in terms of the knowledge work, we see a lot of hybrid stability, which means that people are not in the office every day, and a lot of the budget from the office was diverted to, I would call it human connection. So it's not just traveling, bringing a team together for an offsite or a workshop or a strategic session, and this is just a new way of operating and of doing business, especially in the knowledge work area. So this is a shift, obviously, from before COVID, but everything else feels, at least in our numbers, back to normal.
And would you say that hybrid element is here to stay?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Even with the banks wanting everyone back full-time and some of the other kind of insurance, other institutions?
It seems to be just a better way to operate for knowledge work. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm specifying knowledge work because many people cannot work remotely. We the laptop class, sure. Most of us are in the laptop class, shouldn't forget that many people in the non-laptop class, and this is most of the workers in the world, cannot perform their jobs remotely. My wife is a teacher. She cannot work remotely. She's in the classroom every day. And there are many, obviously, professions like this. So within the knowledge work, small niche or smaller niche, yes, hybrid seems to be the new normal.
Okay. Sticking with kind of current trends in the market, consolidation is a big one. Obviously, we've got American Express GBT with CWT. We've got Grey Doors going from the UK out to the US. Steve Singh coming back into the market. What kind of pressure does that put on a business like TravelPerk? Because there are people that say that you have to be of scale, and that puts pressure on your ability to scale.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of the pressure is, to be honest, from investors and journalists, not from the market. Our product is unique. We're finding ourselves after COVID in a situation where we can name many competitors that were going after the same segment, which our segment is SMB and mid-market, and it's actually the largest segment in business travel. I think American Express, GBT talked about something like 68% of the market is in what we're addressing. Before COVID, we had, from Lola and Upside and Voya and many companies started by great founders and backed by great investors, and unfortunately, because of COVID, they couldn't continue. We are now looking at an environment where we are basically the only product-based solution, not a services or travel agency-based solution for that segment of the market, which is, again, the largest, at least at scale, right? There are a few startups trying to start, but at least at scale. So the pressure, I think, that we have is, as always, execution. Are we building the right product? Are we building the right feature? Are we going to the right direction strategically? I'm sure we'll talk about AI. The world is completely changing right now in terms of what is possible. And I think when you have too much opportunities, too many possibilities, then you could easily make the wrong decision and find yourself a few years later down the road in an irreversible situation. So a lot of the pressure that we have internally is about the execution, about the culture, about the team, and less about competitive forces. We see the consolidation, but we don't find it very relevant to our segment.
But I mean, everybody wants a piece of SMB. And yes, it's the largest and it's unmanaged, but Amex GBT has been growing its SMB business. The OTAs want a piece of SMB. At what point is it no longer enough for everyone?
Well, just looking at our data, right? So we keep record of deals that we lose, and we look why we lost it, and we analyze the situation. And just the reality is we don't tend to lose deals to the names you mentioned. We actually tend, if we don't win a deal, it's typically because the company decides not to move to some kind of managed solution, which we are, and to stay completely unmanaged. So that's our situation. If the data would show something else, of course, we'll have to change.
Okay. And why would you think that they would stay unmanaged?
So the smaller companies, I think, have inertia sometimes. Trying to be polite here to travel managers. Sometimes the travel manager comes from a bit of an old school approach, and the idea of adding technology to the mix is less appealing. The push would come from a CFO or CEO who want to reduce cost, increase traveler happiness and well-being, which we provide as TravelPerk, but sometimes there is kind of inertia of how things used to be in the past.
Now, we're still seeing a lot of new players come onto the market. We've got the roll-up with Direct Travel and Steve Singh and all of the components that might involve. We've also got the Ramps and the Brexes of this world. Aside from TravelPerk, if you were a betting man, where would you place your bet on the kind of business models that we're seeing emerging?
I think travel is tricky, as we all know here, I think, in the room. If I look at the examples, if you look at the examples that AI companies are using to showcase their technology, typically travel, right? Trip planning is the easiest example. Why? Because all of us are travelers, either for work and or for leisure, for holidays. And the mistake that many non-professionals who don't come from the industry, like expense management companies, the mistake they make is they think it's easy. And we all, I think we all have scars on our backs to show how easy this industry is. It's not easy. It's not easy technically to integrate. It's not easy to bring the inventory. It's not easy to do the commercial agreements. It's not easy to do post-booking service at scale. If you're a Silicon Valley kind of company who cannot provide service, by definition, you have to have everything done automatically. We as TravelPerk, we employ almost 2,000 travel agents, right? So we're not just a tech company. We're also a travel agency, and we understand the complexity and how difficult it is to provide post-booking service, for example. If you look at the release of some of the expense management solutions, you read the small letters, and it says, don't call us if you want to change less than 24 hours before your trip.
Right.
This is not the way to do business travel, and they will obviously not succeed like this. And once they try to do it, they realize how difficult it is. So I think the reality is our industry is very, very difficult, but from the outside, it looks very easy. And that's sometimes it's a trap for many outsiders.
Yeah, and I think there's this, everybody goes, well, it's broken, so we're going to try and fix it. Yeah. And then they embark on the project, and it is, as you say, it's not easy. Now, let's just talk a little bit. I don't want to go too deep on NDC, but the distribution landscape continues to change, and we have many bumps in the road. As we stop or try and kind of move NDC, the plumbing, more into the background and move to talking more about offer and order, are you confident that this is the right kind of journey that the industry is on?
So at TravelPerk, we are technology agnostic in a sense of we will get inventory for our customers in any way possible. And we have the best inventory, in my view, in the industry. And whenever we do a benchmark, the data shows that I'm right in this bold statement. We have something like, I think, 18 or 19 NDC connections today, and we're adding more as we speak. We also have multiple GDSs. We're working with bed banks. We're working direct. And this is just for one vertical, right? We do accommodation, air, rail, and car. Right? So we have multiple sources for multiple verticals or services that we sell. We're agnostic to how it comes. I can tell you that we find it much easier, obviously, to work with modern technology. And if the airline is interested to play a game, we definitely have a way to move fast and implement NDC or any other way of bringing the content. So we're agnostic, but I am encouraged by the recent developments. I think generally the industry sometimes, because of the margin probably, there is a conflictive way of doing partnership, and I think it would be much better if we find a non-conflictive way to doing partnership, and at the end of the day, we want to sell as many seats and as many nights as possible, and we are selling a lot. If the technology allows, we'll even sell more.
So do you think then what happened recently with American Airlines, does that kind of thing set the industry back?
I think American Airlines are going to the right direction now.
Okay. You think what they're now doing is course correct?
I'm fully supportive of American Airlines.
Okay. All right. Now, I'm interested to talk a little bit about personalization. Every trip's different. You know, every meeting is different. And for many companies, 80% of the workforce is potentially only traveling once or twice a year. So is personalization even a possibility?
Yes, but I think what's interesting in business travel is that you don't have to personalize for an individual. You can personalize for a type of a traveler, and you can even do it across different companies. And that's one of the beautiful things that we can now do with this new technology that we call AI. You can, in an anonymous way, so you don't have to infringe on anybody's privacy, which will be bad, you can, in an anonymous way, understand that I'm a tech founder who's going to a conference, and I prefer to stay in a hotel with fast Wi-Fi. Just easy an example. Well, all other tech founders who travel to a conference would love to stay in a hotel with fast Wi-Fi. So personalization doesn't have to include only for me, but for lookalikes, if I may use the online ads lingo. And you can do lookalikes without, again, infringing on privacy, and you can do it across a huge amount of data. So if at TravelPerk we're selling millions of flights now every year, I can actually create lookalike groups within our customer base and recommend to you something that worked well for me, right? And we don't even know each other. We don't work in the same company. I think this is actually one of the big promises of this technology is you can finally create similar groups across many companies automatically and in an anonymous way.
So clearly AI is something that's going to help there. What are the ways that TravelPerk is currently using AI? Is it front end? Is it back end?
We actually went really deep into AI at the beginning of 2023 when OpenAI finally released their first ChatGPT version to the world. As an engineer, I was a bit reluctant to use AI before, just the word, because it was just kind of investor lingo, but didn't really mean anything. It was statistical regression, but which is nice. It's a good tool, but the technology was not, I think, meeting the hype before. And now it definitely, actually, it's the opposite. I think you can do much more than even the hype tells you. And we have started implementing that. We changed our strategy for the product in the beginning of 2023. And everything went into implementing this technology everywhere. I think when I say everywhere, I don't mean just a chatbot.
Yeah.
I think a chatbot is a very simple trick to get PR. I would argue that most people don't find the search process painful. And if you're not solving any pain with your new technology, then what are you doing?
Okay.
What we did is we implemented much deeper into our stack. As one example, we get thousands of emails from airlines about cancellation of a flight or a change of schedule, and there wasn't any easy way for us to get across all airlines to get an automated kind of API notification. We just had to employ people who would read the email, analyze it, understand, oh, it's for Linda, it's for her flight today, so it's urgent, and the flight is canceled, so we really have to act on it, or is it a 5-minute schedule change 6 months from now, which we can just update in the system and forget about? And we had humans doing that, which is not I wouldn't think that it's a very kind of elevating job to just read emails and analyze them all day long. Yeah. I prefer our people to do what we call 7-star activities, which provide happiness to our customers, and let machines do the 1 and 2-star things like reading emails. This is now done by AI internally, so we don't need anybody to read it. It's done real time, and our model is trained on our own data, which you cannot just buy off the shelf, right? So that's a very important element here is you train the model on your own data. So when the airline changes the format of the email, the model knows how to cope with that, which was not possible before in a scraping technology. So this is just one example, but we implemented across hundreds of places in our stack. You can observe it actually, I mean, this is what I'm telling our board, you can observe it in the best way in our margin. So if a legacy travel agency, if you count all of the manual work above the margin line, the gross margin line, which you should, then you realize that your margin is very low. Our margin now is getting close to 75%, right? And I include all variable costs, all human costs to provide service post-booking and before booking. So this is tech margin, finally possible for a travel company. This is thanks to this technology.
Okay. Now, most recent funding, 104 million Series D1. Can you share, I mean, you talked at the time about new business travel services. Can you share anything on that?
In terms of what you're doing?
What you're doing?
Not yet.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, we'll have to move on then. When?
Building something cool, though.
All right, well, look, 10 years now, I think, since you founded the company. You've had some funding. You've made some acquisitions. Are there any further gaps there?
Yeah, there are many gaps. I think we're just beginning.
Okay.
10 years sounds like a long time, and I didn't have any gray hair when we started, so it does look like it's been ages ago. But we're at the very, very beginning. We probably, and I keep telling it to the team, we probably built 0.5% of what we could build if we just had infinite amount of time and capital. There is a lot to do here. It's actually one of the exciting things about our industry is for some reason we are a bit lagging, especially the business travel side, we're a bit lagging in implementing technology and building product to every other industry, it feels, maybe with the exception of oil and gas or something. And yes, you could see it in a negative way as we are the old school industry. I see it in a positive way. We have a lot of opportunity and we don't have to guess a lot. We can just look at what happened in other industries and do the same. So can we look at banking, which was slow moving, but now is finally, especially retail banking, is now completely modernized? Well, yes. Why can't we do the same in business travel? And this is something that we at TravelPerk are trying to do. We're at the very, very beginning, and there's a long path ahead of us.
Okay, finish the following sentences for me. My greatest challenge has been?
COVID.
Yeah, okay, yeah. My greatest regret is?
It sounds pretentious, but I don't have regrets.
You don't have regrets?
I have good lessons.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a few good lessons. And I think the best lesson, which I will not share the details, but around people.
Okay.
So who do you hire? Who do you not hire? Who do you partner with? Who do you not partner with? For me, it's always about the people.
Okay, and my greatest achievement has been?
COVID.
Surviving COVID.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't create COVID, but how we handled it, I think, as a company and as a board, I think was really good.
Okay. Avi Meir, thank you very much for joining us.
Appreciate it.